This next session, importantly, and all of the materials that are being presented, whether they're going to be presented media PowerPoint or distributed, will also be available electronically. They'll be made available, emailed out. You have an idea of generally what you'd like to do, but there's a lot that's available to you from an administrative perspective that maybe you don't know about. Well, today we have someone who works in administration at one of the universities here in New York City. Monica Hanna is going to give us a perspective of, for an insider, what are some of the things that you have available that maybe you didn't know about? So please give her your attention. I think it's going to be an extremely informative and helpful seminar and workshop that we're going to hear now. Thank you. Welcome, Monica, please.
So before I start, I just want to get an idea of how many people are familiar with what student affairs is. Anyone know? Raise your hand if you know what if you've ever heard that before. Wow, okay. So under any university, there are two sort of umbrellas. So first you have academic affairs, and that's where you have all your majors, your minors, your professors, the deans, academic deans, all of that. And then you have another umbrella that's called student affairs. So what is student affairs? Student affairs is that big umbrella that involves student leadership, career services, residential life, commuter student services, health services, all of those other offices in the university. I'm sure you've all heard of them. Yes, people who are familiar with those are all falling under the umbrella of student affairs. So now that we've identified the difference between the two, why should you get involved in that part of your college life? Why should you get involved in student affairs? So there's a few things, and first I guess I'm going to start by sort of telling my story of why I got involved. I started getting involved because it's just things that I love to do. I loved planning events. I loved organizing things, leading meetings, going to retreats, all these things. I just love doing them. So I said, okay, why not get involved? But then now that, 4 years later and I'm looking back on it, there's so much that I've gained and so many skills that I've gained from my involvements. So freshman year, I was just this, just trying to stay on the down low. I didn't really understand what any of these things are because nobody really told me. And then, I would go to a few club meetings, but I didn't really get involved that much. And then starting the second semester of my freshman year is when I really started getting involved. I saw these opportunities. There was a program called the Commuter Freshman Mentor Program. And I said, oh, I can do that. I can be a mentor to somebody else. So I applied. I didn't really think I was going to get it because I was just a freshman and I was kind of, on the down low most of the time. And then I did, and that was kind of like my entrance in. And then I loved what I was doing. I loved it so much. I started getting involved. I started planning programs for a student body, and that was kind of my way in, and I started doing even more. 1 year later, I became the program coordinator for that program, and then this year, I'm the program coordinator again, and I've also been involved with many other things. So what are the skills that you can gain from things like this? Basically, one of the things that I've done as a program coordinator is I've trained people. Some of the things that I've been able to do. I've been involved with a program called Global Outreach, which is very near and dear to my heart at Fordham. And I've been to on-service and immersion projects. I've been to Immokalee, Florida. I've been to New Orleans last year. I was on a service project there. And this year I'm leading a group to Ghana in Africa. And that's amazing. These are things that you can get involved in. And it really makes me sad when I talk to people who just go to class and go home, because education is way beyond the classroom. The skills you gain are way beyond the classroom. Now, talk about networking. These are some of the relationships that will be there with you forever. When you go interview for any job, it doesn't matter if it's whatever it is, you're going to need people that you want as references, and you're going to need people that are not just from the church. Because if you give a reference list that are, you know, Abuna, Uncle Hanny, and somebody, and your Sunday school teacher, well, you know, that's kind of, you're just looking at one field. You want people who know you in different aspects, who've seen you work doing different things. So you need to make those relationships. Sure, you can ask your professors, but your professors can only attest to your academic work. They can't attest to how you work in a work environment or in leading people and organizing things. They can't attest to that. So that's something that you need to step outside the classroom to find.
I'm Mary Luca. I am currently a kindergarten teacher. I went to school in Queens College, which is 15 minutes away from here. What was your other question?
What draws you to become a teacher?
Okay. At first, when I first started school, I wasn't sure what it was that I wanted to do. So I took classes in accounting, I took classes in Arabic, I took classes in Spanish. And then I don't know, it just dawned on me that teaching is really what I wanted to do. And I guess the reason why I never thought of it in the beginning is because it wasn't something that our community really encouraged, or I guess that's why I never thought of it. And then when I was in school, I realized that is what I wanted to do. And so in my second semester of my sophomore year, that's when I began that's when I declared my major, and that's when I began my core study to become a teacher.
Did you have to have a master's degree to become a kindergarten teacher?
In New York, once you begin teaching, you need a master's degree within 5 years of becoming a teacher, of becoming certified. Not every state is like that. Right now, I don't have my master's, but I am going to begin working on my master's.
Okay.
So.
Steve, can you please pick up the mic from your wife? I started at Long Island University. I was actually going to school to become a pharmacist. I learned very quickly that that was not for me. I began working as a camp counselor over the summer and realized that, you know, being involved with kids and being involved with sports is something I wanted to pursue. So I am a physical and health educator, aka Jim. Okay. And I am also in school right now. I graduated from Kane University, which is in Union, New Jersey, and I'm currently pursuing my my master's degree in educational leadership or administration. I would love to be or I'm going to be, God willing, one day a vice principal or a principal, and also with that degree I'll be able to pursue an athletic director's position, which is oversees all the sports in a specific town. Me and Mary both work in New Brunswick, so I'll oversee all the varsity sports, you know, all the coaches. I'll oversee the entire health and phys ed programs in that town. Again, for most of you that know me, you know that I love sports very, very much. It's very dear to me, and I'm definitely doing something that I enjoy doing, and I actually love waking up in the morning and going to school and working with my kids.
You mean playing?
And playing with my kids, yeah. And I teach health, and I enjoy teaching health very, very much. And what I do is really, I really enjoy doing, and I think that's very important.
Can I ask a sensitive question? If you don't want to answer, it's up to you, either one of you. What is the starting salary for a teacher? In Jersey, if you know in New York, please tell us.
In New Jersey, there's different scales. If you just have your bachelor's degree, you start at $51,000 now. Now there's in New Brunswick, where we teach, now there's different scales. There's your bachelor's, where it's a scale from 1 to 12. And then you have your bachelor's plus 30, that's a different scale. Your master's plus 30, and then your doctor. And all those, in the highest paying step right now in New Brunswick, after a certain amount of years, you will reach $90,000. Now, if you have your master's degree, that goes up to about, between 95 and 100,000. That's just teaching. Now, if you go into administration, of course, the pay is significantly more, but you do need to have your master's degree to do those things.
What happened when I was in school was that I did finance, and unfortunately I just didn't fall in love with it. It was a lot of numbers, and that's great, but I said, all right, let's try something else. So I tried accounting, and I didn't find a passion there either. So I'm like, wow, business isn't for me, I guess. Then I came across marketing, my intro to marketing class, and I can tell you that my whole outlook on school and college and this whole experience and my future and my career, it started making sense to me because I actually liked the stuff that I was learning. It was a different way for me to look at work and school and studying. I used to think, oh, this is annoying, got to do homework, and it was a very I guess, not developed mentality on school. But once unfortunately I found it out a little later than some of you guys, and that's why hopefully we can interest you in certain things that, it's really important to find out what you like. So I found out that I liked marketing, and I rolled with it. I said, wow, marketing is all about describing things. And as you've noticed already, I like to get the microphone and just talk to you guys. But I like to do that on a bigger scale. So after I finished school, I went into the radio. No, I wasn't on the radio, but I was selling advertising for this radio station, 106.7 Light FM. And it was my first job out of college after using my degree. And from there, I realized, okay, it's really what you make of it. So it wasn't necessarily a crystal clear career path, but I had to, at that point, really figure out where I'm going with this, because it could go in many different directions. People that were in my job, at my first job out of college, they were some newly graduated with me from my school, from Rutgers University in New Jersey. But there was some people that had been there for 30 plus years, the same position. And that was, they were making well more than enough money to support their career interests, but they just stayed in that one position. For myself, I felt like I wanted to get more specific into marketing. So I realized I needed a plan and a goal, and I went through another major company after being there for about a year and been there for 2 years, and then I realized I love marketing, but I have my own way of doing it. So I started my own business, and that's what I'm doing now full time. It's definitely something that requires goal setting and planning, because if you don't plan, if you just leave it to, I'll figure it out, it's going to come back and delay things that could be taken care of now. So, one piece of advice, just from my experience, I mean, right now I love what I'm doing because I'm working for myself, but I wish that I had opportunities where I could find out that I like marketing before I even went to college. That way I could have a more of a clear path. So, hopefully we all learned something. I'm learning from my panelists on their careers, and hopefully you guys are figuring things out as well. So thank you. And
for those that don't know me, my name is George Fahim. I go to City College of New York. I study architecture there. I started in 2007. For most of them that go in there, I didn't know really anyone in my field, and most of them are much older than me. So I went in there thinking, you know, this is going to be a class, you know, 4-hour class, 5-hour class, go in, get out. But it was completely different. It was like a whole nother environment. So the whole field there is this kind of environment where you have to sit down and really be there 24/7. You really get to know all your colleagues. You're with them most of the time. You spend all your nights with them working on projects that you didn't even know were due next week, or but you have to spend the night before for like maybe 24 hours. And really, I didn't know that that's how the class was going to be like, you know. I really thought that most of this, it's not like high school. I thought like I'm going to, you know, class and I'm going to leave, I'm going to go home, I'm going to probably relax, do my homework, come the next day. But it was really a different aspect. So I started 2007. It's a 5-year program. So most people do it in 6 years because they go into the field, but they really have to take a year off before they get in. So most of them go in, they do most of their required classes first, and then they start going into their architecture classes. I got into basically the first year, so I had to take all these classes right in the same time. So it was really overwhelming because you're taking 5 classes, which is a lot for them, every semester. And sometimes you're going to have to even take summer classes so you could graduate on time. I'm not yet an architect. I'm a 5th year right now, so I'm graduating at the end of May. So basically, you know, it's something that you really got to think about before you get in. It's something that it's going to take a lot of your time. It's something that if you really don't enjoy, you're not going to really want to pursue something that you don't like sitting there and spending the time and actually designing a space that, you know, people might think it's new or a new intervention. But it's something that really you, the person, pursue as maybe changing the world, or, you know, you're looking at this from a perspective of you're going to change people's lives. And, you know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, you change people's world from different perspectives from a small space like this that, you know, could give an influence on people.
How in the world did this trader make $1 million?
There's so many other options other than just being a general education teacher.
Marketing is very broad.
My mom finally stopped pushing me to be a DR when I became an FR, a father, a priest. So.